Good. It is still morning, right? Good morning, Juan. How are you?
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. It's great to see you again. I'm here in Los Angeles, here in my former hometown that I love, Miami, and we really appreciate your time to participate in our leadership series. Because in knowing you for years, I do know you have a lot to offer of insights and perspectives and story. So, what do we say we get started by just sharing with our audience who you are, what you do, etc.
My name is Juan Ortiz. I am currently, my new title is General Manager of Navarro Discount Pharmacies. We were just recently acquired by CVS Health, which is actually a Global 12 company. I mean, Fortune 500, ranked 12th in the Fortune 500 list. So that transaction just closed, as a matter of fact, on September 5th. So we're barely a month into it. Prior to that acquisition, I was the CEO of Navarro Discount Pharmacy.
Yeah, and congratulations are in order. I know the acquisition. You might be humble, but the acquisition obviously had a lot to do with what you and your team achieved at Navarro, and I've known Navarro and MBF Healthcare and everybody involved in it for a long time. So, felicitaciones.
Gracias. It's actually a great accomplishment. Certainly not only for me, but for our team here in Miami. And an acknowledgement from CVS's part that we did something very well that they have been unable to do, which is cater and foster the Hispanic market in the U.S. And they're hoping that they'll be able to leverage our deep expertise in that arena and help them, grow their business, especially with their retail network in very Hispanic neighborhoods and communities around the country.
Yeah, but
And probably in LA. I know that CVS has presence in LA. I'm not sure how well received they are on the Hispanic front, but we'll do everything we can to fix that if it isn't.
Well, let me help. I'd be happy to help. But we are talking about leadership here, and there truly has been great leadership in what you've done there, and leadership also with what CVS is doing by working together with you guys. And not to mention, I've talked to them recently up in Boston with their minute clinics and all the different innovative things they're doing with their organization. There probably is a lot to talk about leadership. So with that said, tell us, what is your definition? I know it's a potentially long answer, but what would your definition be of leadership?
Well, in this day and age where there's a lot of, just like this, I mean, right, we're communicating, in two very very different locations over a span of time. And I find that, as time goes on, managing businesses has a lot to do with collaboration, not only with people here, physically here in my office, but, in the Medley facility, but clearly, working with people in different time zones and in different locations. So clearly one is your ability to communicate, your ability to collaborate, your ability to empathize. All of those things are necessary qualities for leadership in this day and age. Certainly accountability, which I think has always been and should always be a component of leadership is important. Optimism, vision, clearly the ability to work hard. Coming from an accounting background, at the time Big Eight, that certainly that forum, trained you well in dealing with different situations, but it also was a place where, to get ahead, you had to work hard, and that's something that I've always done. And I tell my children all the time. I mean, a lot of what success is going to be for you in the future is clearly all of these things we just talked about, but it's your ability to put in the hours when necessary and to give it your all. So I think a leader has to be all of that.
It's interesting because number one, you have a pretty strong, diverse background, corporate, big eight, which unfortunately I remember.
Right.
Entrepreneurial, working with private equity. In our business, executive search, board search, there's a lot of qualified people, but there has to be something that differentiates who is the real leader. What do you look at? What is the right fit? Two words we use a lot: the right fit, leadership needed. at the different stages that a company goes through, like Navarro has, for example.
Well, in the case of Navarro, I've been lucky in the sense that I've been put into, or opportunities have presented themselves for me to step in leadership roles where I don't necessarily have an expertise in the business when I first step in. So again, harking back to the to the Big 8 days, right? The great thing about being in the audit department and growing up through there is that I was exposed to a lot of different businesses in different industries, run by very dynamic individuals, and sometimes not so dynamic individuals, but with different leadership styles. So the beauty of that, and from my perspective, was it gave me a good understanding on how to maneuver and how to adapt to different circumstances, etc. So in my particular case, I've been in clearly the professional services industry. I've been in the computer wholesale distribution business. I've been in healthcare in my role as CEO of Atlantic Dental, another private equity owned enterprise, and then stepping into retail pharmacy in this last opportunity running Navarro. Again, it's adaptability. I don't, I come in with humility in these circumstances because, clearly the people that report to me in many cases know more than I do, which I think is one, it's an asset for me because I can learn, and I've always learned from them. I think empathy again comes into play. You cannot assume that you know everything. I mean, there's certain things that you require out of people, but more than anything, you define the objectives, you define the mission, you define the vision, and then just get all of these people that are working with you to buy into all of that, and then it's just like managing the process, and in the meantime, learning the business, because that's also going to be very important.
Well, you kind of segue into another question, skipping around a little bit. Board members are obviously valued leaders, and it used to be that, aside from the good old boys club, it used to be you get everybody from the same industry because you're in that industry. And now, as we have found with our board search and advisory practice, it has to be diverse. There's a big advantage to being diverse. Like you said, you didn't have the industry experience, but you bring perspective, you bring different attributes to the table. For board leadership, how do you see the right fit, the right culture developed on a board from the perspective of you as a CEO working with the board, or even boards where you're a member of yourself or looking to join?
Well, from my perspective, I mean, you want to bring the prospective board member may not have experience in the industry, but he may have expertise in a particular function within that business. So, for example, I'm actually going through this challenge right now. Within my organization, one of the things I've identified is to beef up my sales organization for our specialty pharmacy. It's a business that we built from the ground up within here in Navarro in the last 2 years, and I've hit a plateau on the sales side. So as I'm looking at it, I need to bring somebody in here that does not necessarily know anything about the pharmaceutical business. I mean, the retail pharmacy business or the specialty pharmacy business, but I need someone that knows sales management and the organization of the sales function. So I'm actually looking, funny enough, I'm looking for someone on a consulting side to come in to help me do that. And that's something I just identified a couple of days ago that I want to do, that I need to do, because I really need to rev up. Because there's tremendous opportunity in that business to rev up my sales force and get them, get some structure into that. So going back to the board question, I would say the same thing. I mean, you may not have, if I'm sitting on a board, I may need to bring somebody in that knows sales, that can help me with that, even though they may have no idea whatsoever about the retail pharmacy business or the specialty pharmacy business.
Yeah, we've noticed that there's young to more seasoned people on boards now. There's absolutely different expertise. It's not just diversity isn't just black, white, women, and
right.
Anymore. It's even financial people. They might want to they might have expertise in obviously the risk management and the governance, which is important, but also specific things and maybe how to market in certain areas, or global is a big thing these days. When you look potentially at board positions, what do you look for?
My big thing is like, one, do I believe in the organization and its mission? And then second, second to that is what can I contribute to that organization serving as a board member? My most recent, I still sit on the board of my kids' elementary school, but I've been doing that as part of like just because I love the school and I love what they do.
Sure.
But most recently, I stepped down, but I was on the advisory board for Teach for America down here in Miami-Dade County. Again, the mission of that organization is something that I believe in. I think that they do a tremendous job in fulfilling that mission. It's something that I wanted to participate in, however limited.
Yeah, it's a great organization. I know it well. Kind of, it leads to another question I wanted to ask you. You've been involved in the community. Miami is a very community-driven city, which I loved, and for especially for our up-and-coming leaders, talk to us a little bit about the impact it has over years to be involved in the community, to give back, to develop relationships, etc.
Well, from the development of the relationship side, which is, one of the big things, I think, one of the great benefits that you get from getting involved in the community. I mean, clearly, it opens up doors, it opens up opportunities that you would not otherwise have had you not been involved and have met different people in different environments and in different circumstances. So as a local business, in my particular case, and I guess I'm still a local business to a large extent, it just provides goodwill. When I need help, I know I can call on people that I know that I've met through different organizations or circumstances, and it just makes the doing of business a lot easier and a lot smoother. When people know you, and they know your background and they know the business and the type of person you are, I think that certainly, by working with you in these community organizations, it certainly helps the doing of business.
Yeah, and again, on the lines of diversity, well, a couple of things. You've developed with Navarro a very strong niche market, which obviously, not to oversimplify it, CVS is very interested in. But I lived in Miami for 25 years. Prior to that was Montreal, very diverse cities, which was always to me a high value, added value, not a problem, but a great advantage and a great opportunity. And we do diversity search specifically. What benefit, in business overall do you see in having diversity within an organization?
I think I'm the perfect example of that. I don't know if you knew this, but I was actually born and raised in the Philippines. I did not move to the U.S. until I was 15 to Orlando. Having grown up in that part of the world, which was also, by the way, in Manila was very much, I'm assuming, like Montreal, like Miami, like Los Angeles. It was certainly a huge mix of cultures: Chinese, American, Spanish. All sorts, a very international city, which I think just being exposed to so much diversity, even back then, certainly opens up your perspective on the world in terms of like how to deal with people and opportunity, etc. So here I am today. I am the head of the largest Hispanic retail drug chain in the country, which is now part of CVS Health. And my name is Juan Ortiz. Everybody assumes I'm Cuban or from South America, which is not the case. And I always make fun of people. I say look, but I am Hispanic, even though I was born in Asia, and I speak Spanish. But it opens up all sorts of doors. It provides such different perspectives, such different opportunities, to do business, to connect with people, and to bring in fresh ideas, to the work that you do.
And to me, that and I'm sure you'd agree, that adds tremendous value to being a leader because you have an awareness of what's going on and you have an awareness of the most important asset, which is people, right?
Yes. No, it's very true. I cannot. It's a very honest statement when I tell you that the reason why we were able to do this transaction with CVS, in large part, is because of the team that we've assembled here at Navarro. The diverse backgrounds that we have, the deep expertise in the fields in which we're operating, whether it be on the running stores. I have a guy that's a longtime CVS. Actually, he came from CVS 2 years ago, and now he's back at CVS again. But
I hope
like
you
a
left on
tremendous
good terms.
He did. He did. He left because he got tired of traveling, and so he's so it was good. But in the case of like my from the person that's running our marketing and our purchasing organization, to the guy that heads up our pharmacy operations. I mean, very diverse backgrounds. The common denominator is like we all like working with each other. We like the mission of the business, and we've come together because of that. But I think that the breadth of their prior experience and their diverse background has certainly helped this organization overall.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how it couldn't. Hey, what? Probably multiple answers for this, but what would be your most interesting, challenging leadership experience you've had?
I've had many. I will tell you that getting to the sale is the most recent one. It's been we flirted with a number of organizations before closing the deal with CVS, including its largest competitor. But this process over the last 9 months of shopping the business, closing the deal while running,
Right.
and growing the business has certainly been the most interesting thing that I've gone through. I'd say over the last 24 months, certainly.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you've got, and you know how this is. The older you get, the more complex things get. I had my daughter, my eldest was leaving for college.
Yeah.
Which presented all sorts of, the things on the personal side. It's just been a very interesting 24 months. This transaction process has been very interesting.
It's funny, whether it's business people or athletes or entertainers or whatnot, people sometimes forget that there are other stuff happening in their life, and you're human. I mean, it's gonna impact you.
And in some cases, those are the things that are more important than anything else. So it's also just keeping things in perspective, because some of these situations on the business side get very intense, and sometimes you forget. And it's good to have someone in your life, or in my case, my wife,
Right.
to remind me that there are more important things, and it's keeping a balance, or trying to keep a balance is key to everything.
I agree 100%. So some real personal questions here. So yeah, do you have pets? Do you have a favorite pet?
Actually, my favorite pets are my fish. I have a pond in the house, low maintenance. We also have 2 dogs, but I happen to like the fish much better than the dogs. My children love the dogs.
The reason I asked that, we're going to be doing a whole thing on, which was recommended by another executive I interviewed, saying he was actually he was actually in his home office doing this interview, and I saw a door open slowly, then a nose, then a dog jumped on his lap, and he said, "You need to have a video series called Pets and Their Executives." So that's something we're getting ready to do. Hey, do you have a favorite?
I have a hard time thinking the koi fish are a little bit large. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that in the office, at least.
Well, with the dog, you could. Do you have a favorite activity or sport?
Well, from a sport perspective, my golf game has gone to hell. Certainly since I had kids. So I played occasionally. I go to the gym 3 times a week. That's probably it. I enjoy watching soccer. I enjoy watching football until LeBron left, and let's see how the season goes with the Heat. But I was watching a lot of basketball the last 4 years.
I know.
That was an interesting ride. But anyway, that's it from a sporting perspective. My children are very involved in sports, so I spend a lot of time actually watching them.
Which is great. And believe me, it goes fast, as they say. Um,
Yes.
so, do you have a favorite type of music?
Um, no, not in particular. I like artists from my kids are with satellite radio you get all sorts of interesting channels. So right now I listen a lot to Alternate Nation, I think is the name of the channel. So that's new age, or current rock as my daughter calls it. So like if you ask me like, look, what's your favorite band right now? I would say the band 1975.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever heard them.
I have heard. That's cool. So
Uh,
you're like avant-garde. You're a man in the know. I like it.
That's
Um,
right. I have to keep up with my kids and what they're doing. So
yeah, it's not easy. Do you have a favorite type of food?
no, I like a lot of different food. Currently, I love Peruvian food, so I've been eating that a lot. I like a lot of Asian food. Thai, I love Vietnamese, Peruvian. Like I said, I mentioned to you, a good steak is always welcome. Um, Actually, I'm in the process of. I don't know if you've ever heard of the big green egg, which is this this barbecue that's like shaped like an egg, color green.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a tremendous. It's really more than anything a smoker. So I'm in the process of buying that because I want to. I need a new hobby. So I figured let me start like seeing if I can start doing more outdoor barbecue type activities with the family.
All right. Well, I look forward to the invitation. um,
Yes. Oh, when you come down to Miami and spend more than a few days, other than a 24-hour trip, maybe I'll have you over.
maybe he'll have me over. That's good to know. Hey, listen, it's great
And
to.
I'll have Seth over too.
No, it's great. I really appreciate your time. It's great to hear the good news that's happening over there, and we look forward to seeing you soon, man.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, hang on. Thanks.